You're traveling through a key of imagination into a fifth highway that goes down the corner into infinity until you crash into me. It is a place that is never a time, but is sometimes an idea. It is a show where people compare The Simpsons and One Piece. Ladies and gentlemen, you are entering this podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe to the DohMance Dawn. So what the fuck was up with Jamiroquai saying, Winona Ryder, you're too horny all the time and your breasts are too big? What the fuck? That's some virtual insanity, am I right?
God forbid women do anything. What's going on?
Well, the last time, like 2 episodes ago, we had the intro that was a bit like the Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe? And then the last one was another horror-y intro, and so this time I tried to do a Twilight Zone intro.
I think it works. Tell people your name.
Huh? Who? This well-mannered snake?
I forgot my name there for a moment. Hi,
Oh
I'm
my
Luke.
God.
He, him, sometimes they, them. I'm high on life. I do not do drugs often. I have not done any tonight. I've just had a long week. I am joined by my lovely co-host who still doesn't have a third thing to say, Janine.
Hello, I'm Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I eat corn the wrong way. Could this be the third thing that I say from now on? You've got to vote on it or tell me or suggest it. I don't know. Like it was posted in the suggestion thread inside the Discord, but like nobody voted on it. Anyway, unlike Luke, I'm not high on life. I am actually high on drugs because I did smoke part of a joint moments ago. I want to say like half an hour ago. The buzz is starting to wear off a little bit, but I'm still feeling it. I can probably ride it for the rest of the episode.
So if you listen to Virtual Insanity with that knowledge that just randomly started popping up on Blue Sky again, it's like, oh, hey, remember how Jamiroquai is like, hey, there are things that are big that should be small. It's like, oh, was that a dig at Winona Ryder? Why you gotta be a jerk, Jamiroquai? I don't know why I'm giving the business to Jamiroquai when I have to take care of some other business because, Janine, you know what I did last episode?
What'd you do last episode?
I had a... Fuck. I had a... Mint. Sporks McKinsey called out and said the line was, you'll go ape over our car loans. Thank you for correcting us on that. Simpsons misquote that neither of us remembered in the moment. So points to you, Sporks McKinsey. We also got a comment that when I was trying to make a reference to Feel So Good by Chuck Mangione, I actually referenced the opening to Run Away With Me by Carly Rae Jepsen. And I want to listen to both of those mashed up. But yeah, they are different. Because Carly Rae Jepsen's like, bum, 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 bum. And Feel So Good is like, bum, 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 bum. That song is so long. I have it on vinyl, weirdly enough. Or I had it on vinyl at one point. It was a gag gift given to me.
It's a pretty good one. I as a Texan, we have a special place in our heart for King of the Hill, and I feel like if I do start collecting vinyl, because I'm still on the fence about it, I don't know where I would put a player inside of my apartment. It is pretty small. I just I would definitely get that because, like, when I was in Philadelphia, it was one of the things that I found when I was like checking out thrift stores there, and it was kind of like, oh hey, there's this like little piece of thing that reminds me of home.
Nice. I mean, it is nice to have that sort of thing, even if you don't have it for the intended purpose. I have a vinyl of. Actually, I'm going to quickly check over there because otherwise it will just bother me. Yep, there's my Chuck Mangione, and then there is my Nature Trail to Hell in 3D album. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I had gotten rid of the Chuck Mangione at some point, but I didn't. It is just a smaller record, I think. Or, perception. Perception is a lie. Getting into other business, between this episode and the last one that we recorded, the episode of Chopper Film came out, which is the movie where they retell the Drum Kingdom arc and add in a extra character who is essentially voiced by Japan's equivalent of Dick Clark.
Huh.
Yeah. If you were like, I love Drum Kingdom, but I wish Frankie and Robin were there and we don't need Vivi there, you're in luck. I actually like it. I think the animation is very good on it. It's enough of a story that they condensed it without losing too much. And even though they never dubbed it for whatever reason, if I were to try and get my wife on for an episode, it would probably be covering that movie. Anything to add at the top of the show, my friend?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, like, I feel like that there is going to be something that I'm going to think about later and just like interrupt the entire podcast for, and that would be very rude of me. But that, I don't know.
That's the show. We are 57 episodes in. If this is your first episode, welcome. I'm Luke. And I'm joined by my lovely co-host Janine, and this is DohMance, the show where we talk about One Piece and The Simpsons and compare them in fan cast. These episodes initially ran between April 20th and May 25th of the year 2008. And these are ones where I don't think I have seen them. Because this would have been like, oh, I am full on getting ready for graduation, and my family is busy on Sunday nights watching other shows. Like we had fallen off The Simpsons at this point, and I think even when Abby and I did our rewatch last time, we jumped off at this point. So the first episode is Papa Don't Leech, which has a really dark Sopranos reference in the beginning where Homer fantasizes about killing Abe. And I have no idea who that's for, because if people don't watch this, like, there's not enough of a, hey, this is a reference to The Sopranos. Like, if you don't know that, it is just very dark.
I mean, it's definitely banking on a lot of the heat that The Sopranos had at the time. It wasn't a show that I personally watched, but it was something that I was aware of. If I saw this when it was live, I would have been lost and did not know anything. But I guess they just The Simpsons around this time that I'm like noticing, like definitely, I guess The Simpsons. It feels like that they are getting to the trends that are more of the time because I think that they're being able to animate faster. It did feel like in previous seasons, especially like 5 seasons ago, 6 seasons ago, they would pick up on a trend and have the episode out like a year like after the trend has been over or something, you know?
I think it's also they were a bit smarter about what they have been referencing. Because, I mean, a good reference is something that is going to be timeless and people will remember. Because that is the danger about hopping on things that are ultra relevant. They may not stick around. Or if they didn't get enough clout, people are just kind of confused, and you really have to hope that the bit is sold, like when they did the Planet of the Base uh, parody in the last season. And my wife was like, I do not get what this is a reference to, which
Huh.
is fair.
Yeah, I mean, like it definitely is banking on the idea that the people that are going to be watching this, like on television, are the same people that like would not be watching television and be online enough to have seen this.
Or they're hoping that those people will be on Facebook and be like, yeah, no, it's a reference to this video. Oh, I didn't see that video. Yeah, it was popular for like a month or two as a song, and then the full video came out, and people were upset initially at the preview because he replaced one of the girls, and then they referenced that in the final version of the video. So Springfield is out of money, and so they decide to collect back taxes from everyone, including Lurleen Lumpkin, who owes billions of dollars, which kicks off a manhunt for her. Homer finds her and brings her home, and initially Marge gets angry and kicks her out of the house where she is going to be forced to live with homeless people, but Marge feels bad, brings her back, and then Lurleen gets captured and is forced to work at Moe's bar to pay back the millions that she owes. While she's just living, she sings a song about missing her father, Royce. And Marge thinks that, oh, well, he must be the reason why her life is shitty. And so she tracks him down. He begs for her forgiveness and she accepts. And Homer is jealous because Royce didn't need to actually do anything to earn that forgiveness. And then after she sings a new song with him, Royce leaves in the night, sells the rewritten song to the Dixie Chicks, because at this point they were not just the Chicks yet. And Homer and Marge inspire Lurleen not to give up. She reveals the truth about the song to the Chicks. Everyone assaults Royce, and then she joins the Chicks on the road. It's got no B plot. The A plot is not well developed. You were messaging me about this episode before I had gotten to watching it because we were both like, "Oh, what the fuck is up with the opening?" But then also, like, Homer is an ass, and it doesn't
It doesn't
work.
add up. It does. I hate it. I hate how
Mhm.
much like I mean, even if you're able to like go ahead and just be like this was a dream and a fantasy that a man is having while he's actively driving a car, what the hell was that? Um it's the idea that like after that we just see Homer kind of regress, the fact that he's just like so insensitive. I mean, like, I do get that he's caring and he would stick his neck out for somebody that had been a friend before. I get
Mhm.
that. He's invited Mo over or someone like all the fucking time. That the cot, like I've seen that cot inside of that basement several times. Um it's the fact that like it is so blatant how much he is not taking her into account because this
Mhm.
this stuff could play out exactly as it is and not need like the heightened like obliviousness of him just like agreeing to things, and it's like
It's a lazy story to bring back a character who was always kind of a punching bag after her first appearance. Like, even in her first appearance, is like, oh, isn't it funny that this really talented singer is in love with Homer? What's up with that? And then, like, every other time she was cameoed, it's been, well, you're sure at the bottom of your barrel, and then they bring her back, and it's like, hey, yeah, no, she's still making poor choices. We brought back the original voice actress, and it just sucks.
it does. I mean, like, I get it. You want to be able to show that morally you shouldn't cheat on your wife. That is a big lesson in The Simpsons. um but like
Marge never trusts Homer. like there is like Marge has like seen Homer come up against the choices time and time again, and Homer always picks her.
Yeah,
Like,
like if this feels very insecure of Marge. This feels like this was a violation of her. I mean, like, I get she's a housewife and like a lot of her identity is in this marriage, but I mean, even she sees past her bullshit in it,
mhm.
a little bit. But that's the thing, just a little bit, like
Yeah,
enough. Like it still feels like it is just like
it would have been a better story if that was used less as a point of dilemma, and Marge was like, "Hey, I trust Homer. You need a hand. I want to be a good person. I'm going to give you this opportunity." And then we find a way to kind of tie it into Marge like wanting to give a person who she treated poorly in the past a second chance. She inspires Lurleen to give her dad a second chance, and then he takes advantage of that, and she has to kind of cope with the maybe not everyone needs a second chance, which I think would be a much more subversive message than whatever they tried to do here. It would have been a, hey, yeah, I trust my husband enough. I'm going to trust you enough. And as long as like Lurleen isn't the person doing anything wrong, I think it would have been stronger. And then maybe there's a B plot where Bart and Lisa end up finding a way to break into a bubblegum machine, and that ties into the A plot somehow.
I feel though that like the one thing that was like the biggest slap in the face of all of it is at the very end. Um,
Mhm.
Lurleen's about to go off on tour, and like it's revealed, oh, she's dating somebody new, and like he already like looks like Homer and seems like a
Mhm.
jerk, and it's like, what the fuck was all of that development for? If like
Yeah.
the thing that like you were on her ass about, like getting with like the wrong kind of guy, if you just like if that's the ending of it too,
Hmm.
like
She is a punching bag. She is a joke. Neither of us liked it. I think we could probably move on to others.
yes,
Like,
let's move on to the next
yeah,
one because I've got mixed feelings about it.
yeah. Apocalypse Cow is an interesting one. Bart decides to join the 4-H because he gets to see that he can drive big machines, and he ends up raising a calf that he names Lou with help from a girl named Mary, voiced by Zoe Deschanel. And Lou ends up earning a blue ribbon. Bart then finds out that Lou is going to be slaughtered and feels bad. Bart asks Lisa for help, and she's like, "Well, if you stop eating meat, I'll help you." He won't agree to that, but she still agrees to help, which I at least appreciate that she tried to fight, even though it's kind of like this isn't the moment. They break into the farm, carry Lou out with a forklift, and then drive him to Mary's house. And it turns out that she is one of Cletus's daughters, and him giving a cow counts as a proposal. Lisa tells her parents about Bart's accidental engagement, and they wait to stop the wedding. Like that's one of the biggest things. It's like, no, you should try and be discussing alternate solutions here. It feels like lazy writing. Bart knows, like they set it up that this is the only way that he can save Lou. Marge steps in though, calls off the wedding, and Lou is returned to the farm. But it turns out that Lou, who's going back to the farm, is actually Homer in disguise, and the real Lou is sent off to India. Bart gets to say goodbye, and the family saves Homer just in time. Mary doesn't get any autonomy here.
None whatsoever. I fucking hate that it just feels like an amalgamation of Lisa the vegetarian and the fucking episode where Bart gets Stampy.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking hate that. Okay, first of all, like we had a 4-H in the high school that I went to,
Mm-hmm.
and like I never really got bad like up on depictions of different like parts of society because for the most part it's like what the fuck, who cares? But like I don't know, like I just I just think that it kind of like rubs me the wrong way. I mean,
The,
everybody in 4-H knows exactly what's going to happen at the end of it. They are told that, you are warned that, and there are alternate things you can do if you're not okay with it.
but
People have, yeah,
the
it,
fact that Bart gets taken by surprise about this fact.
yeah, like it feels like it's definitely something that is like thrown out there, and like I get it. And if you know the 4-H stuff, you know what's going to happen at the very end. And that kind of like is the untold drama of it. But
It the
I just I hate this idea of like, because they are literally eating steak in the episode, and like it just feels like just such a weird kind of stretch. It doesn't feel like Bart was meant for this, and it feels like that they wrote this episode backwards from the joke that they tell at the very end. And like that's not enough to hold up the entire fucking thing. Like,
yeah, I will agree with the 4-H one. I think it could easily be this writer never actually was in the 4-H, and none of these Hollywood big shots ever were in 4-H. My sister did it. I didn't have the opportunity to because I grew up in the suburbs, and then it was like, oh, I am 18. I don't want to spend my time around farm animals. Yeah, there's definitely a point where that would have been brought up, and it builds a surprise that I think is made more for people who are going to be unfamiliar. But yeah, it's a messy episode. The Lou being sent off to India seems like a kind of racist end point.
it does. I mean, like, I feel like that it definitely was a very like fast hand wavy solution.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was something that they like literally did before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wasn't it like, yeah,
2 seasons ago, we had Homer become in charge of the plant in India, and it's like, oh yeah, we're going to make some references here, and yeah, it. We had a bunch of good episodes last week, and then this week it's kind of like, oh hey, we're getting to discuss story flaws.
yeah. I've thought about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I I am going to do a top 10 episode list for next episode, because I do feel like that there are some episodes here that definitely should be highlighted. I think that not all of them are of this quality. This is kind of like a rare bump in this season. I feel like the
You
last,
mean a rare drop in the season?
I guess, I don't know what the reference is. I'm trying to like visualize here, but uh, yeah, I these two episodes I hate the most. Things get better from here, but like it just sucks. Why is this isn't even the first time in the past like what 3-4 seasons that Bart has been um almost married off, and the plot was to try to stop the marriage. He's fucking 10, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many times is he gonna fall inside of this exact scenario? Like, I get you want to be able to make commentary on like the weird kind of like Appalachian hill folk rituals, or the fucking um fact that there
Teen
are some southern
pregnancy.
states like
Mm-hmm.
will fucking have lowered laws for marriage as long as like the fucking parents sign off
Po-
on it. You know, like,
pointing pointing at something is not offering commentary.
exactly. And it's not enough to be a reference point for comedy.
Mm-hmm. We then have Any Given Sundance, where Lisa starts filming at a tailgating party, and Skinner supports her filmmaking if she promises to make a documentary about her family. Chalmers also throws in his support so they can get it into Sundance, so the school works on the film and it gets accepted. The film is celebrated, but the rest of the family sees how poorly they are depicted and they feel hurt. Lisa gets advice from Jim Jarmusch, who shows her Nelson's film about his own life, and then she realizes her family's pretty good. And as Nelson's film gets popular, the Simpsons are forgotten about and they forgive her. And John C. Reilly is in this episode, bringing us closer to Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe?
Oh my god, I loved his bit.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite John C. Reilly thing?
In Chicago, he sings Cellophane and
Mr. Cellophane.
Mr. Cellophane, and
Mm-hmm.
it fucking breaks my heart.
They do an amazing reference to that in Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe? That works so well. I know I've said it before. Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe is currently my favorite podcast, and they are getting to like their next big crossover event. And I'd just say if you have not listened to it, listen to it. I love the show. Has a great community, and John C. Reilly is one of the cast. John C. Reilly is cast as one of the characters in these films that do not actually exist and do not have any of the actual actors in them.
Yet,
yeah. Yeah. It, like, Any Given Sundance was a bit hokey at times, but I had a lot of fun.
I did too. I mean, I feel like it definitely did do a good job at showcasing that a lot of the Simpsons stuff is just not normal, and I fucking laughed so hard. Just a hard cut scene of Bart just pulling dishes right out from like the cupboard and just smashing them on the fucking floor.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even need the follow-up joke. Like, that was already doing it for me.
It is like a good joke, and it works as a commentary on kind of like, oh yeah, the artsy film community does love these sorts of dysfunctional films where they also don't offer any commentary or any insight to anything. It's just sort of a highbrow freak show.
Exactly. It's a voyeuristic look into people that you don't know to get to know them better in their messy lives and to fucking, I don't know, create a sort of love for something that is kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. And I think that it definitely works a lot better with what Nelson's doing, because how they do it for like Nelson's film is exactly how the Simpsons have been doing it for Nelson-centered episodes for the past couple of years now.
They're having their Nelson cake and eating it too. Or trying to. We then have an episode that made me angry, which is Mona Leaves. The family comes in to find Mona, Homer's mom, in the house, and Homer rejects her attempts to reconnect because he's been hurt by her so many times. When he finally does have a change of heart, he finds that she died, and he feels guilty and starts looking for a meaning in life. He gets the will where he is asked to release her ashes on top of a massive rock structure. And when he starts climbing it with the family, they give up on him because he's being a jerk about it, but he still makes it to the top on time. He then releases her ashes, which goes on to destroy a missile guidance system as one last act of activism, and Homer feels used. He falls into the missile base where he gets captured, and it turns out that Burns planned to send nuclear waste via that missile to the Amazon. The family saves Homer with Mona's other gifts, and then Homer stops the launch and accidentally sets the base to self-destruct. We were like halfway to a good episode about like grief and kind of regret, and then he just shat on it for a weird spy thing that didn't go anywhere.
I've got mixed feelings about this one.
Mhm.
Because like automatically at the start, I feel like um I hate this emotional pull on Homer. Like he's yeah, sure, he's a fucking was a jerk ass for the longest time, but he didn't like nobody deserves to fucking like go through that level of grief and like just being like thrown like that. It feels like that the episode should take a different turn, and how it ends up going out definitely feels like it is a form of catharsis that is so specifically centered to Homer, but it also
Mhm.
makes like no logical sense. I mean, like the only way that Homer still has a job the next day at the same place where that Mr. Burns works is the fact that Mr. Burns never remembers Homer's name or face.
Mhm.
And this it just sucks that I mean, I get it. When you bring back Homer's mom, she's going to have to go back in the same episode, but like you can't, like there is a place you could probably put her, like Arizona, like, and not have her to be dead,
Dead.
but like
They're going to bring her back. Like they bring her back
I
for flashbacks and stuff.
okay, I am glad for flashbacks, because if they brought her back to life after that, like I would definitely be angry. But like I feel like I just don't want. It's weird because like by the end of it, when they do wrap up and they do go through everything before, it was very touching and it did make me cry. Um, but it was like kind of like remembering the things that happened that weren't in this episode.
Mhm. It's the emotional connection came from better episodes, and we aren't going to be able to get those sorts of episodes anymore without breaking the conceit of this episode, which wasn't done well enough. The Real Gems, TM, did a really good episode on how bad The Simpsons is with killing off characters. And it's like, this is not done well because it kind of strips out that central conceit in a way where it's like, it's too ridiculous and too much of a farce. I think they could have done a Mona is hurting Homer one last time trying to pursue her dreams, but I don't think that part of the relationship was also set up well enough. Like I would have loved more of a, hey, yeah, I am going to try and give you one last try where it's you get my full attention, and I don't think we get that. We then, you have anything else to add for this one?
I'm trying to remember anything else that happened in it. And that's the thing. It's just like
Went in and out and on the way of the convenience stores of Speedway.
yeah, I guess whatever that was, yes. Exactly that.
With work or play, you're on your way, the convenience stores of Speedway. I am assuming they do not have Speedway gas stations in Texas.
No, no they don't.
Okay. Speedway is a gas station chain that has at least a lot of stores in Ohio. They got purchased by, but are still separately branded from 7-Eleven.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been to several different kind of convenience stores. I've
Mm-hmm.
been to the Buc-ee's. I've been to the
Mm-hmm.
Wawa.
You been to Sheets?
I haven't been to Sheets. There is a Sheets in Austin. Like there's a lone Sheets somewhere. Like
Mm-hmm.
I looked it up because I just like I was curious. There are a lot of like weird things that end up getting like small franchises just strangely in the
Yeah.
middle of fucking like Austin just because people travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have Culver's here. Like I had
Hell
Culver's
yeah.
not too long ago, and that's like a Wisconsin thing.
I mean, we have those in Ohio too. It's a expanding Midwest thing.
Okay. Well, if you have a Culver's in your place, like double check because if you have one or not, because they're really good
Yeah.
root beer.
They also have a solid veggie burger in
You know,
case you do not eat meat.
another thing we got to talk about, like when we talk about like our fucking Discord, is that there is a thing for root beer chat, and like I
Uh huh.
know that like I'm fucking like veering off on that, but I do want to give a shout out to the root beer chat. You
Mm-hmm.
guys posting up the pictures of different root beer that you've had, giving it your little ratings, so that like I can be able to think about if I want to get it if I ever go to the fancy ass grocery store. You
Mm-hmm.
know that like that gives me life because I also like root beer and I feel like I like it even more now that we have like a small community just like up on it. I'm sorry. I am rambling and getting us off
Oh,
topic. I'm
it's fine.
still a little bit high right now, but like I
Yeah.
just love root beer so much.
I I have a sheets that is within like 3 minute walking distance from my house. It's great. For my not quite bachelor party, but for the hey, let's get together the wedding party, except my parents for the night before, we went and did Iron Chef, where people had to go and prepare something with food they could get at Sheets that they thought would suit my taste. And some people did not know my taste at all. Anyway, Sheets is fun. I think part of it though is culturally overblown. But we got one more episode, then we got One Piece to talk about, and I can't wait to see how and I can't wait to see and I can't wait to see how Janine is going to react. All about Lisa at Krusty's 40th or at Krusty's 4,000th show. He announces his plan to look for a new Krusketeer, and he picks Nelson because he slept with Nelson's mom. Lisa argues that Krusty should hire Bart, who also tried out as his intern, but he hires her instead. Krusty then fires Nelson, and Sideshow Mel offers advice to help Lisa. Bart is meanwhile jealous, so Homer gets him to sell his Krusty merchandise, and he gets started coin collecting. And together, the two complete the collection, except for one last rare penny. At the show, Lisa steps in to help acting and she finds that she enjoys it. She then sets up an opportunity where she can quote unquote fill in for Krusty and ends up getting an offer to take over the show. And Krusty gets regulated to a late night show slot. Homer and Bart try to win the last penny that they need at an auction but lose to Mr. Burns. But then Homer cons Burns out of it. Lisa, meanwhile, wins the Entertainer of the Year award, but Mel warns her that none of the other winners ever went on to do anything better, including himself. And he warns her to stop, and so Lisa sets up Krusty for a comeback. This seems like an episode where folks who, I don't need to say folks, where shitty white dudes who hate Lisa would hate this episode and they would kind of ignore the meaning of it because they hate to see Lisa winning. Lisa is kind of bad in this one, but I think it's also coming from a point of, hey, Lisa gets to excel at things. Lisa likes to excel at things. And cheating your boss out of their job is a shitty thing to do, but also having unpaid interns who you are exploiting, especially technically child labor, is a shitty thing to do. So,
Yeah, I don't think that there is a TV personality that like Lisa could have done this to that I would have felt sorry for. Like Krusty's pretty consistently shitty. Um I feel like that there is such a I love this episode more now that we have Brook as like as Mel as our Brook
yeah.
because I feel like that Mel has done like such a really good job when like the fucking delivery of everything through like
Mhm.
all of his lines, the fucking narration, um, and so, like how it ends up being a commentary on um chasing the laughs could be something that is addicting and something that can be able to put people inside of a lower position of dignity than when they started and they wanted to start, you know, like to I just I have a lot of complicated emotions about this one, and like they are not bad though. Like I just feel like um this is an episode that I definitely did want to like end the season on because it took some different directions for the characters, but like they were believable for them. I loved seeing Lisa the Clown. I loved the Long John Seltzer line, like that whole thing. Like being able to have a pirate Lisa for us to be able to use in the future, and a clown Lisa. Like
We have power.
we have power now. Like oh. And how much like this definitely like gave a different light to Mel, who like has not really been able to show much of himself, but we got to know that like he has a wife still who is just having a baby, and fucking where he came from, being able to see that pre-bone picture of him and just seeing how like beautiful that is. It's like I love seeing that version of young Mel, and I cannot wait to see a full picture of a live Brook to just kind of like know that those two are the two things that are lining up together for me, you know?
Well, new characters who we have access to include Solar Panel, Mary Spuckler, Grandpa's Otter, Trans Cloudomorphs,
I'm something of a trans clownomorph myself.
Jim Jarmusch, 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 Hillbilly Preacher, DVD Cops, Ron Rabinowitz, Senorita Film, and Steve Martin, along with many others. And Jim Jarmusch, 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 Jim Jarmusch.
A person who's very turned on by middle-aged women. And that's the remix.
All right. We are now on to One Piece, where we are covering episodes 350 through 355. These include... Fuck. I had to stop myself from saying Jim Jarmusch. The warrior caught a demon. The time of Or's resurrection.
Awakening after 500 years. Or's revives.
Conviction. Strong enough to beg for one's life. Brook protects his afro.
A man's oath never dies. To the friend who awaits under a faraway sky.
We'll definitely meet again. Brook in the Cape of the Promise.
Food, Nami, and shadows. Luffy's angry counterattack.
So, Gecko Moria cuts off Luffy's shadow while Chopper, Usopp, and Nami are hidden inside Kumashi. Moria prepares to use the 900th zombie, that way the mysterious three can live out their dreams, including Gecko getting his revenge on Kaido so he can become king of the pirates. Janine, it's time for our Kaido Countdown. Who do you think Kaido is?
I think that Kaido is the former first mate of Gold Roger.
Interesting.
I'm just like, yeah, like I am doing a wild shot, like right out there.
Mm-hmm. So, by saying that, do you think that like Gecko Moria was also on Gold Roger's crew?
I mean, I feel like they definitely were pirates at the same, like relatively the same time, and if it could be possible that they were, if not rivals that have actively fought each other multiple times.
Okay. We'll get to Kaidou in like 10 years.
What?
Oh yeah, Kaidou is far away. In 10 years of like manga time.
Okay, all right. I was just like,
Yeah.
10 years of podcasting time or 10 years? Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not that long. Though speaking of long, I had sent you an image from like 2 chapters ago. I believe that was like 117. Did you look at that image that I sent you from the One Piece manga?
I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure I did because I look at everything that she sent me, even though that she told me not to.
I know. I'm fun that way. I like don't look at the Ark of the Covenant, and then you're like, I'm going to look it up, and then you aren't killed because you're not a Nazi.
Yeah.
So are you looking at the image right now?
I think so.
So do you recognize the 2 people on the right side of the panel there?
I look familiar.
It might help if you look at the person on second from the left in the big circular suit. Janine, after 25 years, 6 months, and 18 days, Don Krieg, Geen, and Pearl are alive.
Wait.
Uh-huh.
Wait. What did happen to them?
Everyone got horribly poisoned, including Geen, and then Luffy sent all of them off on a single ship. Piled up. And horribly beaten.
And they just never came back before then, like until now?
Yes, they have been presumed dead.
Huh. Wow.
Until 2 weeks ago, yeah. So we got like the first official reappearance of Foxy like a month ago. We got this. Like Captain Kuro is the last One Piece villain who we have not seen officially since their defeat.
Wow.
Yeah. But also, let's go back to nobody fucking dies in One Piece except, I guess, the ship.
Human Mary should have died.
Mm-hmm. I like that you had to say that now. That's your hole in the ace. All right. Yeah. Sorry. I just wanted to get that called out because that was... I didn't notice it at first because that's just like one panel. And I was just like, oh, okay. Flipping through, reading. But yeah. So... Absalom plans to return Luffy to the ship when the spider mice report that Brook is back on the island and exorcising zombies. Brook sends Robin and Frankie back to the ship so they can awaken their teammates and help them get their shadows back, and he tells them the weakness of the zombies, which is salt. Ordinary table salt. Brook found out about the salt after his own shadow had been stolen when he had returned, and after his own shadow was stolen, and he returned to the island by chance. At that time, he was defeated by his own zombie, Ryuma, and ran because of a promise as the only survivor of his crew. And before he returns, Frankie asks one more question that we don't see, but it makes him really love and respect Brook. Gecko Moria, meanwhile, is unconcerned about Brook because he got a big new massive zombie in the refrigerator. And even though he also hears that Tararan got defeated. No major concern. Brook, meanwhile, is going through the hallways, hacking and slashing and chopping that meat through the zombies, exercising them, though he is still afraid of the zombies, but he knows he has to fight Ryuma. And in the freezer, Hogback gloats about how they found the corpse of Oars, a massive giant, and Moria puts Luffy's shadow into Oars.
I feel like I have heard the word devils with a capital D used before.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's devil fruit, Janine. They're called devil fruit.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that I don't know that I'm just realizing I don't know.
So Nami, Chopper, and Usopp accidentally get out of Kumashi and reveal where they are, but Oars' rise distracts everyone as he calls for meat because he is hungry, and he even calls for Sanji at one point. The trio escape and note that the zombies work the way that they do because of how the shadows are in there, so everyone's kind of aligned on how shadows and zombies work. They get hit with a fiery attack by Absalom, who grabs Nami again. Usopp pulls out Kabuto, which is strangely Sniper King's weapon, and shoots at Absalom. But he and Nami turn invisible, and then the zombie generals come after Chopper and Usopp, who are luckily saved by Frankie and Robin. The zombies then rush to feed Oars, who is disrespectful because he is full of Luffy's shadow, and when they realize that there is some salted fish in the food, they have to rush to prevent Oars from eating it and work to distract him. Since he finally gets enough food, he decides to leave, tries to use a gum pistol to break through the castle. Doesn't entirely work because his body doesn't stretch like rubber, and he declares he is going to be king of the pirates. How do you feel about Big Boy season, Janine?
I think that this is like the best way to do this because like the thing that like is worst about Luffy is that you can't get him to do fucking anything. So if you have his shadow, of course you can't get his shadow to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Brook finds Ryuma, who taunts him about his concern for his afro. And we find out that when he initially came to the island to try and find his shadow, he hummed Binks' sake or Binks' brew, depending on what language you're doing, to stop himself from being afraid, which is a lot like Dr. McNinja. This has been your Dr. McNinja update / reference.
Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, if you had to fight a ghost, would you not sing the Ghostbusters theme song and punch?
Man. I feel like that there was a better one that I could be able to do, but busted makes me feel good.
Sleeping makes me feel good. When he had met Ryuma in the past, Ryuma was faster and stronger than Brook and forced Brook to surrender to save his afro, and in the 5 years since, Brook has trained hard. Meanwhile, Absalom drops the unconscious Nami off to get her ready for their wedding. I'm sorry that you will not be able to marry Nami, Janine.
God, I hate like how they're fucking like just treating Nami like they're creeping on her hard, and like I fucking feel like really uncomfortable by it. But like I get they're going to get theirs in the end. It's just like God,
waiting to that point. Yeah,
it's still like really terrible to go through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is an arc where they make some choices and they don't all pay off all that well. Like, even though everyone kind of hates Absalom, it's like, no, it's not enough. So Frankie, Robin, Chopper, and Usopp return to the Thousand Sunny, and they find that the ship was ransacked. They look for Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy, who are in the dining room unconscious, and Usopp wakes them up by mentioning he saw a beautiful swordswoman carrying meat. And guess what?
Yeah?
Dun, 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 dun.
It's our beautiful swordswoman carrying meat watch.
Oh my god, because it was a lie, does that mean it's actually gonna fucking happen?
Janine, I got a question for you.
What's that?
Huh? Who? This well-mannered snake?
I mean, I might be a person who is attracted to hot swords women who are carrying meat.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, damn.
Oh, I love that.
With, with,
God, Usopp.
with everything that, like, I have to, like, keep an eye out now. I have to keep track over all of his lies because apparently they're gonna come true or something.
Oh, yeah. And that's not even mentioning all the bits that I'm sneaking into the show.
Wow.
Yeah. Absalom, meanwhile, sends a priest to invite all the zombie generals to his wedding. Luffy realizes that the zombies stole the food from the ship, and Sanji finds out that Nami got kidnapped by Absalom. They know they need to get Nami and their shadows back, and Brook promised to meet them again. And that is when Frankie explains how Brook mentioned that he had left a friend behind, but promised they would return one day, him and the crew. And now, as the only survivor of that crew, he must return, even after 50 years. That friend was Laboon, the whale. And that episode came out 7 years earlier, and Brook wanted to keep his afro so Laboon would recognize him.
It's the most saddest thing. I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know how much I love Laboon. So, like, getting to meet Brook and find the person who was one of the people, because had been others and they're all dead. Like, damn, it is so sad, but I'm, like, totally rooting for it, and, like, I'm excited now because I know inside of my heart, without a doubt, that they will be reunited one day. I'm so fucking jazzed for it.
So the crew sets off to take care of business. Oris tries to gum up the mast of the ship, but finds he doesn't stretch, so he has to climb all the way up it. Sanji finds out that Absalom saw Nami nude and reaches new levels of anger. Usopp provides everyone with salt and reminds them that they need to fix everything before the dawn, and Hildon is the only competent member of Moria's crew who hears everything, warns the Mysterious Three and Moria that the Straw Hats are back, but Absalom is at the wedding with all the zombie generals, so they are very unprepared. And Perona's just like, yeah, no, I'll take care of everything. Which, go get it, girl boss.
Yeah.
Gaslight, gatekeep, depress.
She is kind of girl bossing it. Getting to, like, have more time with her. I'm watching the dub, by the way.
Oh, you switched?
No, wait, no, I'm watching the sub for this
sub.
one. I watched some episodes of the dub of the last set. But this one, her laugh, like, there's a lot of annoying laughs in this arc, but, like, that particular one, is, I don't know. I'm fucking gay, guys. I'm so fucking gay. Like, if a woman has, like, a very annoying laugh, I'm just, like, so fucking, I'm hers. She can put me inside of a box and put a ribbon on it and have it for herself. I'm a present. Like, I don't know. I gotta find out more about Perona to find out what exactly is the deal with this chick, because I don't want to, tie myself off to somebody that I don't know their full backstory to find out exactly how much of a horrible person it is. But also, in my heart of hearts, I'm hoping she's really bad. I'm hoping she kills me. I don't know. That's I'm too gay for my own good. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's worse things. I mean, how do you feel about Moria's laugh?
It's not the worst one. Is the thing.
Whose laugh do you like the least so far?
Probably Hogback and Ryuma. Like when Ryuma does it, it's like a perversion and it's a terrible thing. But when Brook does it, it's kind of endearing and like okay, I guess.
Can I offer you gender swapped Gecko Moria in this trying time?
Maybe. I mean, oh my god, kind of like a soft babe like that. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful. Ah.
I mean, there's pictures of all 7 warlords, but I still don't want to spoil you on some of them. But I mean, I can also just send you Crocodile right now and you'll be angrier.
Okay, sure. Yeah, fuck me up even more. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, she's oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's definitely my shit right now. Oh, damn.
Uh,
That's so fucking cool. Oh my god, transition goals 100%. Okay, all right, let's Janine stop being gay. We have a fucking you still haven't even gone through the whole fucking
oh,
rundown, have you?
no, I haven't. But I mean, I can also just send you. I remembered we have seen Kuma and we have seen Mihawk. So
Oh my god. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. I love women. Luke, I love women. Jesus. Oh my god. Okay. Fuck.
this has been Janine's Lesbian Corner. Moria, meanwhile, gets bored waiting, and Hogback comes to request secondary control over Absalom's zombies, and specifically the authority to use Inupe and Jigoro, that is Sanji and Zoro's zombies. As the Nami retrieval team comes in, Luffy and Sanji get blasted with negative hollows, and they are captured by the zombies while Sanji, Usopp, and Robin watch. Usopp is able to rescue them, and they run forward as the negative hollows come closer to them. Oars, meanwhile, jumps down from the tower, which breaks the staircase that everyone was walking on, and the bridge people were walking on, separating Usopp and Sanji from Chopper, Robin, and Luffy, bringing them down with Frankie and Zoro, and they have landed in front of Oars. So we've split the party, we've rearranged the party, and now we got big ol' Oars time. I hope you're ready for some fucking wild battles, Janine.
I am for that. I'm also ready to see the different combinations of people together. That because I've definitely liked just kind of like watching crew interactions. I mean that's kind of my shit. So like being able to watch them kind of pair off and even to develop some rad team attacks like that is like I'm hoping for that.
But are you ready for a team member to betray the team?
Always actually.
Okay, because we have a truly tragic betrayal coming up.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
All right, well, I'll threaten you with my picks because this week we only have one character that we are going to be matching for, and that is Oars. That's right, it's a big old Oars G. So, are you ready to talk Oars?
I am. I got my picks up and I am ready to go.
All right. Picks up, clicks up. I have 4 suggestions. My Rodrigo style is John C. Reilly, which I wanted to respect. John C. Reilly. My throwback is Jonathan Frank Sr., aka Frankenstein. I also had on Monster Bart from the future from the fantasy where he has to test food additives, I believe it was. Don't correct me on that. And then I had the Red Devil from Red Devil Realty from Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, because that also has a joke coming in for a later thing. Janine, who do you have, and how many do you have?
I have 4.
Ooh.
Same as you. I've for my Rodrigo style, I have Ugly Child Homer. This is the picture of Homer that Mona shows where you could be able to pinpoint the exact moment that Homer's cuteness as a child leaves him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hey, it is kind of gruesome, like not like gnarly and bloody or anything. It's just a very ugly picture of like a young Homer. So,
Yeah.
if you've already seen it, you don't need to see it, and if you haven't seen it, you can skip it. My next pick is Frankenstein. I also had Frankenstein on here, but where I differ is that I had Pirate Skeleton Bart,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the 50-foot Lenny because I thought it
Ooh.
would just be hilarious just to have like Lenny with like teeth and stuff, and it's just Lenny.
So we will have a good opportunity for 50-Foot Lenny as opposed to using him here. But you also were with me on Jonathan Frank Sr.
Yeah. I mean, like, when you gotta think about, like, a patch zombie together, like, he's definitely one that I've been holding on to, and this seems like a very fun thing. I feel like seeing a very large version of this character, would own bones, really. Like,
Mm-hmm.
feels like the,
Well,
like, direction that we are going.
we did have 2 suggestions coming in from the audience. Reverse Eye Patch suggested Hugo, Bart's formerly conjoined twin, and that one welder guy, backed by Mike Patton, suggested the Capital City Goof for reasons that are not relevant yet.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think Frankenstein is a really good visual choice. I also do like the Red Devil Realty, but I am good to settle with Frankenstein because we won't have a lot more patchwork undead monsters after this arc is done, and we aren't going to have too many new zombie characters added to this arc.
Well, then, I think that the best thing that we could be able to do is, uh, use the best patchwork zombie ever that we have available to us for this very large, very special number 900 zombie.
Hell yeah! So our oars is Jonathan Frank Sr., aka Frankenstein. He's a super Frank, he's super Franky. Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps us up for this week. I feel like the ending was maybe a slight bit anticlimactic. Just we have one voice or one character to cast, but next time we have no characters to cast, and we also have no Simpsons episodes. So if you want to send in questions to us, feel free to send in questions to us either through the Blue Sky, maybe Facebook, or Discord is honestly going to be the easiest way to ask questions.
Yeah. Come join our Discord. Like we're just like hanging out in there having a good time. Like if you're listening to the show and if you're listening to the show, you got to be on the Discord so you could be able to get in on some very funny jokes that we make about the episodes that just come out. And you need to have that kind of environment because if you're putting in the time to listen to this, man, but we have some really funny people listening.
Mm-hmm. Also, we collect a lot of Simpsons memes and we play Pikmin Bloom and Root Beer Chat.
Root Beer Chat. I love you guys, Root Beer Chat.
So Janine, where can people find you online?
Well, you'll be able to find me on another podcast I do called Wrestle Girlies. Um, Not to be gay or anything, but I am with a very beautiful and wonderful co-host, Flighty Butless, and we just talk about the hashtag just girly things of professional wrestling. Centered a lot around AEW, New Japan, indie stuff that we see. Generally, we kind of like stay away, but still indulge in every once in a while the WWE. But like, I feel like I got to start mentioning that because if you are like you have to kind of let people know like what you're about when you're talking about wrestling because there are very different kinds of wrestling podcasts out there.
Janine, we're still waiting on my Gobbledygooker podcast for their turn of the Gobbledygooker. He needs to take down Triple H.
Sure, yeah, okay, like brand new person in charge, gobbledygooker.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Janine Juliet. You can find me on Instagram. Janine is dope. I there are so many other like fucking social media sites, and I am still lurking. I am still thinking about it, but I am not committing to anything. So those are the best places you'll be able to find me. Luke, where can the people summon you?
I mean, if you want to talk about the band Spoon, who their song "I Turn My Camera On" was featured in Any Given Sundance, you can talk to me about Spoon. I once watched Franz Ferdinand with Britt Daniels of Spoon.
Damn, that's
Franz
pretty cool.
Ferdinand, the band. Yeah, I used to have a canvas bag that was signed by the members of the band Spoon, and I called it my Spoon Sack. It left stains because I was a art student and I just had a bunch of pencils in it. And what you don't really think about is that when you get outside of the range of like the 2B pencils and you get harder and softer leads, those things stain very easily. And so the inside of the bag was coated with graphite. You can find me on Blue Sky at Coltreg. That's KOLTREG. I'm also on Reddit, which I mostly go there to see what people are talking about with regards to One Piece and people making comics. Because I make comics, you can find those at itch.io with Coltreg, KOLTREG. This is the main thing that I do beyond Unpiece, which is the One Piece podcast that I do with a bunch of people, including the guy who does the webcomic Shag and Scoob. We are very bad at promoting it, but the Discord is a good place to find out when we're going to do another episode, because while we've recorded all of them, and while we recorded all of them except for the first one correctly, none of us want to do the editing work, so they're not going anywhere else. So yeah, that's it. Mike Patton is our cover artist. Mike is glorious, splendiferous, handsome, a root beer connoisseur. You can find more about him by looking at Patton_pending. That's PATTENPENDING. I highly recommend it. You've been listening to DohMance Dawn, which is our alternating weekly podcast. You can find us wherever you have found us right now. I assume that you are not in the year 2058 and all other media has been destroyed except for this one episode of a podcast, in which case, follow the light. This is the prophecy. Yeah, DohManceDawn.com. You can see all the covers. I updated all the links, and yeah, just thank you for spending some time with us. We had a lot of fun. We hope that you had some fun too. Join us next episode as Usopp proves his worth. Catch you then. Smooth sailing.